At the beginning of the film, Mai asks Put if he caused any trouble at school, because his teacher called and wants her to meet him tomorrow, but Put insists he didn't do anything wrong. She then turns to Pim and asks if she can feed Latte for her, but Pim says she has cheerleading practice this afternoon, so Mai asks Put to do it instead, telling him to give Latte 4 spoonfuls of food and refill the water bowl. She then tells them that she has been promoted to head of international sales, so this definitely calls for a celebration. She tells them to choose any place they want. Later, at her office, her boss congratulates her, and she thanks him for trusting her with this position. He then hands her a contract and asks if she could review it for him, and tells her he also wants her to join a video conference with their Chinese partners at 7 p.m. Meanwhile, at school, the coach tells the girls that the competition is coming up in a few weeks, so they will need to vote for a new team captain. She explains that, for now, Pim is handling that responsibility. But since this is their routine, they choose a new captain every year. When Pim returns home, she sees that Put's friend Fame is there, so she heads straight upstairs. Fame follows her, staring at her with lustful eyes. And when Put asks what he is doing, Fame tells him to just keep playing. Fame goes upstairs and peeks into Pim's room, seeing her changing clothes. But when she notices him, she immediately turns around and rushes to close the door. Fame says he's just looking, but Pim yells for Put to help, and hearing her scream, he starts climbing the stairs. However, he slips and falls. Fame then says he knows a secret concerning her and asks, "Aren't you curious?" Pim asks, "What secret?" But then suddenly, she slams the door shut, hitting Fame's foot hard, and he recoils in pain. He then limps down angrily to show Put what his sister has done. He asks Put if he forgot what he promised, and if he wants the whole school to see the clip. Put turns his head away, but Fame forcefully tries to show him the video on his phone, saying everyone will go wild when they see it. Later, when Mai calls, Pim says they've been ready for hours, but Mai apologizes, explaining that something urgent came up and they'll celebrate another time. Pim says that's okay, but asks if she can tell Fame to stop coming over to see Put. Mai asks what happened, noting that Put doesn't have many friends, and that Fame doesn't bully him like the other boys. Pim explains that today, Fame spied on her while she was changing, to which Mai gets shocked and says she will talk to Put about it. After a 5-hour meeting, Mai drives home and checks her phone, seeing several missed calls from Pim, when suddenly, a car speeds toward her and crashes into hers. Later, a man visits their house and introduces himself as Fong, their grandfather, Mai's father. Pim and Put are confused to see him, and Pim tells him that their mother isn't home. To which he asks, "Didn't anyone tell you?" He takes them to the hospital, where they are shocked to see their mother. Pim asks Fong what the doctor said, and he replies that she is out of critical condition, but must remain in the ICU because she is in a coma. An old woman then enters the room, and as soon as she sees Pim, she hugs her. Then she looks at Put and asks, "Is this Crit?" But Fong tells her that he is her grandson, Put, and asks if she has taken her pills today. Juan calls Put over and says it's been ages, and Fong suggests that they stay with them for the time being, so their mother doesn't have to worry. Juan adds that they can stay in Mai's old room, and then turns to Pim, telling her that she lived in their house when she was little, asking, "Don't you remember?" But Pim replies that she doesn't, and that their mother never told her about it. Next, at their grandparents' house, Fong tells Pim and Put that Grandma has made breakfast for them. They're surprised to see it looks exactly like the meals their mother used to make. Pim asks if Grandma won't be joining them, and he says she usually doesn't have breakfast. He then explains that their grandmother is suffering from dementia, so if she says or does something that frustrates them, they shouldn't take it to heart. He adds that the two of them can help him look after her and make sure she takes her medication on time. Pim asks if they really have to stay there, and Fong says it's for their own good until their mother can leave the hospital. Pim then asks if she can go home later to get some things, and Put adds that he doesn't want to leave Latte alone either, to which Fong says, "Of course." Later, they visit Maui at the hospital, where the doctor tells them that the chances of her brain waking up are only 50%, and he cannot predict how long she will remain in this state. They then return to the house, and while putting Latte down, Put notices some dirt on the floor, and when he looks up, he discovers a hole in the wall. Meanwhile, Fong tells Pim that he has to go out and will be back in the evening. Curious, Put peeks through the hole and sees a similar house on the other side, with its door slowly creaking open. And as the door opens, he gets scared seeing a girl standing there. But just then, Pim comes in. He shows her the hole, and she asks if he did it, but Put replies that it was already there when he came in. Pim suggests that perhaps the house next door is undergoing repairs, and tells him to show it to Grandpa when he gets home. That evening, Pim asks if anyone has seen Latte, and Juan says she let the cat outside after it made a mess. Shocked, Put worries it might be lost, and Grandma says it's fine to leave it out. Put argues Latte is a house cat, but Pim quickly changes the subject, telling Grandpa that he might want to call a repairman because there's a hole in the wall. She takes him there, saying the house next door is probably doing some drilling, but Grandpa says he doesn't see any hole. Pim points directly at it, but he asks if they're trying to pull his leg. He then calls Juan over and asks if she can see the hole. Juan looks closely at the wall and says she doesn't see anything. Put points at it, insisting it's right there, but she says she can't see it and that it must be a very tiny hole. Grandpa, growing irritated, walks away, and as he leaves, Grandma tells them it's already 8 p.m. and they should go to bed. But oddly, there's no clock on the wall. Pim asks, how come they didn't see the hole, or did they lie to them? Put asks why they would lie, and Pim says maybe they're seeing things that aren't really there. Put disagrees, saying it's this house, and now he understands why their mom never brought them here. He then turns over and asks if she really thinks they're their grandparents, to which Pim says, of course they are, because they know our names. They know Mom. And there are family photos all over the place. But Put says it's really bothering him. How come their mom never mentioned them before? The next morning, Put notices that the hole in the wall is gone. As he sits down, he asks Pim if Latte is back, and she says no. He then asks if she checked the wall, but Grandma asks what they're whispering about. She serves him breakfast and, noticing his messy hair, says he can't go to school looking like that. She fixes his hair and tells him to button up his shirt. She then gives him a glass of milk and tells him to finish it. And when he says he doesn't like milk, she replies that it's good for his health, especially for his bones. After that, she sits down in the chair across from them and asks them not to upset their grandpa again. At school, Fame asks Put when he can visit again to see his sister, and Put says he can't because they're staying with their grandparents now, but Fame insists he'll come over that afternoon. Put says that's not a good idea, but Fame pulls out his phone and threatens to spread the clip. Just then, Pim spots them and tells Fame to leave her brother alone. He denies any wrongdoing, claiming he just wanted to visit, and Put says he's fine. But Pim warns Fame he's not welcome and that their mom doesn't want Put hanging out with him. Later, we see Fame at Grandpa's house, asking Put when his sister will be back. And when Put tells him to leave her alone, Fame threatens him again, asking if he wants him to show him the clip. Suddenly, Put hears a strange sound, like someone scratching the wall, and he asks Fame if he heard it. But Fame says, "What noise?" But Put just looks confused and walks toward the wall, where the hole has reappeared. When Fame follows, Put asks if he can see the hole, but Fame says there's nothing there. Confused, Put moves closer and peeks through the hole, only to see a girl on the other side. Blood begins to pour from her nose and mouth, and as she looks up, Put recoils in terror. Fame asks, "What now?" And Put says, "You wouldn't believe me, so see for yourself." Confused, Fame steps forward but can't see any hole in the wall. Still, at Put's insistence, he moves closer and tries to peek at the spot, but suddenly his head slams against the wall, causing his nose to bleed. Put insists he didn't do anything, but Fame grabs him, ready to hit him, but Pim arrives and tells Fame to leave him alone. Fame says, "Look what your brother did." But Put quickly explains that Fame peeked through the hole. Fame yells that there's no hole there and accuses Put of slamming his head. He then picks up his bag and warns Pim that her life is over. After he leaves, Pim asks Put what Fame was talking about, and he reveals that Fame secretly recorded a video of her taking a shower in the gym. Shocked, she asks if he's sure it's really her, and he says yes, explaining that Fame has been blackmailing him, forcing him to help get a date with her, or else he'd share the clip with the whole school. Pim panics and asks why he hurt Fame, saying now he's definitely going to spread the video, but Put insists he didn't touch him at all. Later, while they're cleaning up the blood, Grandma suddenly enters and asks if someone is hurt. Pim quickly reassures her that they're fine, but when Grandma sees the blood, she panics and calls her May, telling her to clean it up, saying she can't stand it anymore. Shocked, Pim tells her she is Pim, but Grandma insists she clean the blood quickly. She then turns to Put, calling him Crit and blaming him, saying it's all his fault. Pim corrects her, saying he's Put, but Grandma yells for her to get him out. They both try to calm her down, and after a tense moment, she finally comes back to her senses. Realizing what happened, she recognizes them again and hugs Pim, apologizing for her behavior. But then, Grandma glances at the wall and says it's time for her medication. She asks Pim to get her some water, but they're both shocked to realize there's no clock on the wall. Later that night, Fong finds Wan on the floor, screaming, and when he asks what happened, she suddenly turns to him and shouts, "What have you done?" saying she will never forgive him. He tells her to go back to bed and says he'll get her pills, but she keeps screaming and crying uncontrollably. The next morning, Fong is at the police station, and it's revealed that he used to be the head of the crime suppression division. The captain asks how his daughter is doing, and Fong says she's still in a coma. The captain then asks how he can help, and Fong replies that he wants to see the case file. He adds, "Don't think of it as an order from your ex-boss. Think of it as a favor for an old friend." The captain hands Fong the file, and Fong notes that both Chayut and his girlfriend were over the legal alcohol limit. The captain says they claimed a friend was driving, but Fong insists the real culprit must be found and punished. He doesn't care how powerful Chayut's father is. He will make him pay. Meanwhile, Pim and Put find Fame's phone, and Put says he must have dropped it. Excited, Pim says she'll check if her clip is still on it, but just then, they hear scratching sounds coming from behind the wall where the hole is. They both cautiously approach the wall, and just as Put is about to peek through the hole, Pim stops him, but he insists that he has already looked through it once. She asks what he saw, and he explains that there was a creepy girl, but he didn't see her parents anywhere. Pim then asks if he knows when Grandpa will be back, and he says he's not sure, only that both of them are at the hospital. Pim tells him to keep watch while she looks through the hole and to warn her if they return. She then peeks through the hole and sees a girl crawling out of a door. The girl's legs seem paralyzed, so she drags herself forward using her hands, leaving a trail of blood behind. Suddenly, she vomits blood, and Pim recoils in terror at the sight. Shaken, she tells Put that they need to help her, and confused, he asks, "Help who?" He looks through the hole and sees the girl with a hole in her head, causing him to jump back in fear. Pim insists they have to help the girl, but Put refuses, saying the girl is a ghost, and if they go into that house, they'll die. Pim looks through the hole again, and this time sees the girl holding a baby, but suddenly the girl vomits blood all over it. Pim jumps back in horror and warns Put to stay away from the hole, saying there's something seriously wrong with the house next door. She tells him that what they're seeing isn't real because it's night over there, even though it's daytime for them, so the hole itself isn't real, and that girl is a ghost. Finally, she makes Put promise never to look through the hole again, and he silently nods. Later, Latte returns to them, and while Put is busy feeding it, Pim checks Fame's phone, only to find her video on it. That night, while everyone is asleep, Put is startled awake by strange noises. His heart races as the sounds grow closer, and in fear, he hides under his blanket. Then he hears someone softly humming, and when he lifts the blanket, he sees the same girl sitting on Pim's bed, slowly reaching her hand toward Pim. She then suddenly turns her head, causing him to fall off the bed, and in that instant, the girl appears right in front of him. But just then, Pim asks, "What's wrong?" Still shaken, Put looks around and says, "It was here in this room." She tries to calm him, saying it was probably just a nightmare. But outside their room, we see the girl still standing in the dark. The next morning, Pim wakes Put up for school, but he says he's not feeling well. She calls it a lame excuse and pulls off his blanket, only to see that his nose is bleeding. Alarmed, she asks if he's hurt, but he says he feels feverish. She quickly rushes out, calling for their grandmother to come upstairs, and the scene cuts there. Meanwhile, Grandpa learns that Chayut is walking free because his friend took the blame. He says he's been a policeman all his life, serving the public, yet now the law has allowed a guilty man to go free. He vows to go after Chayut and make him pay. Back at the house, Put asks Grandma when Mom was living here, what was she like? And she replies that Mao was a perfect girl and a cheerleader. Just like Pim, they had high expectations of her mother, but then she quickly adds, "Let's not bring that up," and asks, "What are you drawing?" He shows her his sketch, and she compliments his talent, until she flips the page. Panicked, she asks why he would draw something so horrible, and he insists that he didn't draw it. Suddenly, her expression changes, and she asks what she had brought into the room. Her eyes then fall on a jug of milk, and she questions why he hadn't drunk it. Confused, Put picks up the jug with trembling hands and takes a sip, after which Grandma leaves the room. Put checks his sketchbook again, and as he flips the page, he's shocked to see that the drawing is gone. He flips the page again, causing the jug to slip and shatter on the floor, and Lade immediately begins lapping up the spilled milk. Meanwhile, at school, Pim is shocked to discover that Pa's name has been nominated for captain. The coach explains that, although there are 3 candidates, only one meets all the requirements, and that person is Pim. After the meeting, Pa congratulates Pim, but Pim tells her to stop playing innocent. Pa asks what she means, and it's revealed that Pim found Pa's chat on Fame's phone, showing that Pa had sent Fame that clip and wanted him to release it. Pim says, "I know you filmed that clip and sent it to Fame, who is now using it to blackmail her." Pa tells Pim to look around, saying everyone dislikes her because she acts arrogantly, thinks she is better than everyone else, and looks down on people, and she bets the whole school has already seen the clip. Just then, the coach arrives and says, "So it's really her." She explains that Pim already told her about the clip and Pa's plan to release it today to humiliate her and force her to give up her position. The coach adds that she made Pim captain again to expose Pa. Pa protests, saying she doesn't know what the coach is talking about and asks if there is any proof, to which the coach shows Fame's phone as evidence. When Pim returns home, she finds that Put isn't getting any better. He says he doesn't want to stay here any longer and wants to go home, claiming that this house makes him sick. She asks if he looked through the hole again, and he admits that the hole keeps calling out to him, and he couldn't resist, so he did look. She tells him he's sick because of this stupid hole and the ghost girl, but only then does he start coughing, and she quickly hands him a tissue, and to their horror, they see that he has coughed up blood. She calls Grandpa, telling him that Put is coughing up blood. Grandpa asks if she told Grandma, and she replies that she assumes she is asleep. Grandpa says he will be right home and disconnects the call. Later, Put and Pim hear the noise again, and Put declares that he's done with it. Pim decides to look through the hole herself and sees a man sleeping on the couch. Then a door creaks open, and a demonic hand emerges. Pim watches in horror as a girl crawls out of the room, vomiting blood onto the floor. She tries to move forward, dragging herself along, but lacks the strength and vomits blood again. Pim jumps back in fear and tells Put that the girl died right there in that house, and the man didn't even try to help her. Put immediately peers through the hole, and he asks Pim how the girl died, to which Pim suggests the girl is trying to show them how she died. Put points out that the room visible through the hole is this room, but at 2 different points in time. He introduces the concept of a wormhole, describing it as a portal connecting different dimensions, and says that what they witnessed through the hole had already happened in the past. Just then, Grandpa enters and asks what they are doing there this late. Pim asks if he knows anything about the girl who died next door, and Grandpa insists there is no dead girl, claiming the house has been abandoned for a long time. Pim insists that a girl once lived there and died, and Put adds that they saw everything through the hole, but Grandpa dismisses them. He asks, "If there really is a hole, how come I can't see it?" Then, with their help, he slides a cupboard and places it in that spot, and says they won't see a damn hole again. He then goes to his room, puts on his uniform, and takes his gun out of the wardrobe. Later, the cupboard begins to shake before crashing to the ground. Pim and Put rush downstairs, and before they can make sense of anything, Grandma asks, "What's going on?" Meanwhile, Chayut is speeding home when Fong suddenly pulls his car in front of him, forcing him to slam on the brakes. Fong gets out and approaches, and when Chayut asks, "How much do you want?" Fong tells him to shut up. Chayut warns that his father will kick his ass and reach for his gun, but Fong smashes his head against the steering wheel, and at that very moment, Mai suddenly wakes from her coma. Fong pulls Chayut out of the car and begins kicking him, shouting that he is now charged with attempted murder of a police officer. Chayut scoffs, claiming the law can't touch him and threatening that, once he gets out, he will kill him. Enraged, Fong kicks him again, and as Chayut struggles to catch his breath, Fong grabs the alcohol bottle from his car and taunts. "You love drinking, right?" He pours the entire bottle over him, and, saying "burn in hell," sets him on fire. Chayut screams in agony as Fong watches him die. The doctor tells Maui that her father isn't answering his phone. Shocked, She sits up, but he reassures her that it's normal to feel disoriented after a coma. When she asks about her children, he says they are staying with their grandfather. Panicking, Mai tries to leave, and they stop her, saying she's not fully recovered, but she insists she must get her children out of that house. Meanwhile, Pim and Put are cleaning up the mess when they suddenly hear the noise coming from behind the wall. Both freeze, staring at the hole in fear. And this time, Grandma hears it too. Put asks, "She can see the hole, right?" And, trembling, she admits that for 15 years, that noise has been tormenting her. Pim asks, "Why have you never said a word about it?" And Grandma explains that they know how irascible their grandfather is. Since he has never heard the noise or seen the hole like they have, he would think she had lost her mind. For years, he made her take pills to make her forget everything she had seen and heard. Pim asks if she ever looked through the hole, and she shakes her head fearfully. Pim asks, "That girl died in our house?" But before she can answer, the noise starts again. Pim looks through the hole and sees a young May asking Crit, "Where is Pina?" Juan and Fong rush in, asking what happened, and Mai replies that her daughter is missing. Pim jumps back in shock, and when Put asks what she saw, she says she saw their mom, young and pregnant. Put confirms, it really is a wormhole, and when Grandma arrives, Pim tells her she saw her and Grandpa too. Grandma dismisses it and tells them to return to their room, but Pim asks, "Who is Pina? And why did Mom call her daughter?" Before Grandma can respond, Put moves forward, peeks through the hole, and sees that Pina is dead. Fong tells Juan to take Maui and her child upstairs while he handles everything else. Put watches in shock as Fong lays Pina's lifeless body on the floor. Furious, Fong then turns toward Crit, but Grandma pulls Put back. He asks, what happened to his father? But Grandma says he doesn't need to know, and at that moment, a gunshot rings out. Meanwhile, Fong arrives at the hospital, only to find that Mao isn't there. Just then, the doctor rushes over and tells him that Maui has run away. 15 years ago, Pina approached Crit and asked him to play with her. He asked what game she wanted to play, and she said, hide and seek. He told her to go hide, promising that he would be the seeker. Pina hid in a closet under the stairs, but Crit got drunk and fell asleep. Pim asks, how did she die? And Grandma explains that she drank rat poison. Pim asks, why? And Grandma says Pina wasn't normal, so she must have thought it was some kind of syrup. Pim then asks about Crit, and in a flashback, Fong tells Juan that Crit snatched his gun and shot himself, explaining that Crit must have felt guilty over Pena's death. Put vomits blood, and a panicked Pim insists that he needs to see a doctor. But Grandma insists, let him lie down, and he'll be fine. Meanwhile, Maui arrives at Fong's house, only to be horrified to find Latte's lifeless body lying outside. Grandma brings milk for Put, and, calling him Pina, she forces him to drink it. Pim tries to stop her, but just then, Mai enters and tells Juan to leave her children alone. Pim rushes to her mother and hugs her, and Juan asks when she was discharged, but Mai tells her to back off, insisting she is taking her children home. Outside, however, they encounter Fong, who forces them back inside. He asks Mao why she ran away from the hospital, but she tells him to back off. Fong orders the kids upstairs, but Mai tells them to stay, insisting they deserve to know the truth. Fong claims he never hid anything from her, but she points out that he is still holding the same gun. Fong sets it down, and Ma asks what happened while she was in the hospital. Fong dismisses it, saying it's all in her head, and Juan urges him not to let May run away again. Maui asks if Crit really forced the gun from him that day, and Put tells her that he and Pim already know about their father. Fong insists, don't listen to them, but Pim adds that they also know about Pina. Shocked, Mai asks how, but Fong cuts her off, calling her children inveterate liars. Suddenly, Put starts coughing, and Pim exclaims that he has been coughing up blood for days. She says she already told Grandma, but she kept urging him to drink milk. That's when she realizes that his health has been deteriorating ever since he started drinking the milk, and that he is vomiting blood, just like Pina did. Pim asks Grandma, what have you been giving Put? And Grandma replies, milk. Pim insists on trying it herself, but Grandma says she cannot drink it. Pim picks up the jug and asks why, but Grandma warns her not to. Just as she is about to drink, the glass flies from her hands and shatters against the wall. At that moment, Grandma sees Pina standing behind Pim, and a flashback shows that Grandma didn't like Pina and used to give her milk as well. Mai realizes that her mother poisoned Pina and has been poisoning Put as well. Fong says everything that happened was because of Crit, but Maui insists that not everything was Crit's fault. Juan tells Maui that she was a perfect girl, but she chose to marry Crit, and that her first child was ugly and crippled, like Put. She claims that her family is cursed, but Maui retorts that the family isn't cursed. She is cursed with a mother like her, who took everything she ever loved from her. Juan insists that she did her family a favor by cleansing its bad karma, allowing her to have a better life. But Maui responds that she won't blame anyone for what has already happened. After all, they are her parents. But she warns them that from now on, they must leave her family alone, or she will expose everything they've done. The next morning, they return to their house, and Maui apologizes to the children for not telling them about Pina and their father. Pim asks, "What if what we know isn't the whole truth?" And when Maui asks what she means, Pim explains they saw it all through the hole in the wall at Grandpa's. Surprised, May asks, "They can see that hole?" To which they nod, and she tells them that the hole made her want to leave that house. She explains that after their father killed himself, Grandpa tried to cover the hole, but it never disappeared. Pim asks if she ever looked into it, and she says never. Later that night, Fong gets a call from the captain, who informs him that Chayut was murdered last night. The captain asks Fong where he was during that time, and Fong replies that he was at the hospital with his daughter. The captain then tells him he needs to come down to answer a few questions, revealing that a new witness has come forward, and that they have dashboard camera footage proving that Chayut was telling the truth. It is then revealed that on the night of the accident, Chayut was in the back seat with his girlfriend, while his friend was driving the car. Meanwhile, Juan encounters Pina's ghost, who calls her dearest grandma and tells her that she has already drunk the milk. Pina asks, "Am I a good girl?" And Juan steps back in fear as Pina moves closer, asking her to hold her. Pina suddenly hugs her, but when Grandma pushes her away, Pina becomes enraged and vomits blood directly onto her face. Hearing her screams, Fong rushes downstairs, only to find Juan writhing on the floor. He hurries to check on her, and as he turns her, a bottle of rat poison rolls away from her hand. Suddenly, her body twists in an unnatural way, and she stands up, screaming, her body still convulsing. Fong is horrified to see Chayut's ghost standing there, asking, "Why did you kill me?" Fong fires at him, but in reality, he has shot his own wife. Realizing the enormity of his mistake, he puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger, ending his life. It is then revealed that Maui had looked through the hole and saw what really happened. After Pina hid in the closet, Juan locked it, unaware that Pina was inside. Once Juan left, Pina kept banging on the door, pleading with her father to let her out, but he remained asleep, intoxicated, and unaware of her cries. Later, when they found Pina's body, Fong was enraged. He poured an entire bottle of alcohol over Crit, shouting that a scumbag like him didn't deserve his daughter. He pulled out his gun and aimed at Crit's head, but it was actually May who pulled the trigger. To protect his daughter, Fong quickly took the gun from her and placed it in Crit's hand, staging the scene to look like a suicide. Back in the present, Pim is humming the lullaby when she suddenly hears another voice joining in. She looks around but sees no one, and that's when she recalls a moment when Pina was humming the lullaby for her, telling her how pretty she is and how much she loves her. Pim closes her eyes and continues humming, and we see Pina beside her on the bed, holding her hand and humming along.